Are you there? Welcome to my office. This is Shelley Johnson from Have Media Will Travel at my mobile office by the river in Lander, Wyoming. I have a great story that I can't wait to share, and I'm honored to be able to share it. Read Unbroken, double thumbs up. I read a lot of books. This is my favorite story ever. It's the best survival story ever, in my opinion, and I've read many stories about survival and human will. So go out and get it. Fantastic book. But besides that, this book also resulted in a great love story that I want to share with you today. Back on March 2nd, I was on a flight from Denver to San Francisco. I was headed to San Rafael, California for the 5th of 5 life coaching courses that I was enrolled in. And I couldn't wait to read the book. So I wasn't going to be social. I usually am a pretty good conversationalist and I love people and learning about them, but on this day I just wanted to read my book. I was looking forward to 2.5 hours of me time. So I sat down by the window, and a nice gentleman who was probably 60 to 65 sat next to me, and his sister was next to him. And he introduced himself, and I was nice enough and introduced myself. But then I kind of quickly got back into my book. I mean, I could not wait to get, this is a page turner. So this man, who I won't name names, he continued to visit, and he was really nice. So finally I just thought, well, I'm not going to be able to read, so I'll just visit. And what a great decision that was, because he was a great guy, and I'm so glad that we got to know him and his sister. We actually conversed for the whole 2.5 hours of flight, and then at the baggage claim, and then I saw he and his sister off with their niece, who they were visiting in San Francisco, and I was much better because I had made that acquaintance. Really, really great people, right? Here's the heart of the story why this is worthy of a blog post. About a week and a half later, I was on my way to West Yellowstone on a ski trip with 2 of my closest girlfriends, and I was, again, raving about this book and telling them how it was a page turner and I couldn't wait to read it on a recent flight, but instead I kind of got engaged in conversation with a nice fellow, and I proceeded to tell them everything I learned in 2 hours. For example, that he had recently started withdrawing Social Security, that he was a retired chip maker, I think an engineer, and that he still considers interesting projects, but he's semi-retired, I would say. He's taking line dancing, he's taking an art history course, he wants to see other parts of the world and hopes to maybe find someone to do that with so he doesn't have to do it alone. I learned that he has 3 sons, 2 granddaughters and a grandson. And one of his sons, who's studying political science in Fort Collins, is also a musician. And he had recently traveled to Spain and Portugal with that son. I learned that, his sister, who was along with him, has chronic fatigue syndrome and is a vegetarian and had recently lost a lot of weight. That they had both lost their mother not too long ago. That they were going to San Francisco to visit a niece. And I recommended that they hike to Pirates Cove in the Merritt Headlands and to have a meal or a beer at the historic Pelican Inn. I learned that he had actually been to Lander, my hometown, and hiked above Sinks Canyon before. And let's see, that's a lot of information. I think that pretty much covers everything that I learned about him. Anyway, I was telling my friends this, and they were laughing out loud because I had gotten so much information from someone I had just met on a flight. But it gets better. You ready? One of my friends who was with me, her mother moved to Lander recently, and she lost her husband 2 years ago. And she goes, well, maybe we should introduce him to my mom. And I said, well, sure. That'd be great. That'd make the fact that I gave up my 2 hours of reading this book even more worthwhile. I said, let's introduce him. You know, I know him. I'm Facebook friends with him. And so my friend got her mom's permission. She said, yeah, go for it. So this is a week and a half after I met him, probably, maybe 2 weeks. I sent a virtual introduction, an email to both my friend's mom and to this friend I had met from Colorado Springs on the airplane. And they had a phone call, and let me just say that today, almost 2 months later exactly from when I met the gentleman, they consider each other soulmates. They are in love. They, in fact, each of them told me that they fall more in love every day. And let me share some of their words to be specific. Okay, so I got permission to mention them, although I'm not mentioning their names, as you noticed. So this is what the gentleman says about the woman, my friend's mom. She is absolutely wonderful. I adore her, and I'm so glad that you and I sat next to each other. He goes on to say, Although we have only known each other for a relatively short time, I love her more every day, and I feel as if I have met my true soulmate. So your choice to be friendly instead of reading your book has truly made a big positive difference in my life. And then what she says is, I moved to Lander in October of 2009 after the loss of my husband. I wasn't at all sure I would meet someone and fall in love again. I did feel that I wanted someone to share the things in life that I enjoy, like family, music, the outdoors, and travel, if I were lucky enough to meet such a person. I can say with certainty that I hung up the phone for my first conversation with the gentleman, saying to myself, I am not sure what I am feeling, but it sure feels good. Our connection and the comfort and ease with which we communicated was breathtaking for me from the beginning. My love for the gentleman. It grows each day as I learn more and more about this amazing man. The term soulmate captures my experience of being with him as I pinch myself several times each day to make sure this isn't a dream. So, folks, the message here is, it's like the what if. You can't help but ask the what ifs. What if I would have just read my book that day, which I certainly had the right to do? What if I wasn't friends with my dear friend? What if I wouldn't have brought up this book on my trip with my friends to go skiing? Then my friend would have never even learned about the gentleman, the stranger that I had met on the plane, and suggested to introduce him to her mother. What if her mother wouldn't have said, okay, introduce us? I mean, I actually have goosebumps talking about this. It is so amazing that these two were brought together and that they are filled with love right now as a result of my conversation with this stranger on an airplane on March 2nd of this year. So, anyway, I just wanted to share that. I never use the word serendipitous or even fortuitous. I just don't use those words very often, but those are the words that come to mind when I think about this wonderful love story. It speaks to connection and also something bigger, I think. So thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story.